Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Paps, the Rising VTuber and an artist, and CSP isn't showing up for some reason. Hang on. There we go. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of, not exactly a challenge, but definitely a little bit of a new thing that I haven't tried before. So that's going to be fun. So, I recently saw this art on Twitter that had an outfit for Bridget from Guilty Gear, right? And it was like this cow-themed outfit. It had like a lot of Holstein print. It was really cute. And the outfit's back said like Adam Hart Mother. And I thought, wow, that's a really cool phrase. I'm going to look that up. Pink Floyd album. I don't know anything about Pink Floyd, so that's why I didn't know that phrase before. But I realized that the reason that they chose that specific band or album name for the clothing was because there was a cow featured on the cover. So that got me thinking. Is there anything? Are there other things we could do? We could give that a similar treatment to, right? And so I found this website here called Shuffle. At least I think it's pronounced Shuffle. It's SHFL. So what this does is that it can provide a variety of different recommendations. So for example, if you go to electronic, right? It gives you a random album from the electronic scene or from the electronic genre. You can go to next, and you can just keep going randomly, right? Finding all kinds of different albums, different artists. And it's really good for expanding your musical taste in a specific genre, but it's also really handy because it gives me personally unfettered access to a large variety of albums. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to just like randomize this, and I'm going to give myself like one or two mulligans as well, right? I'm not going to be like, yeah, no, the first one we get is the one that we have to use. Because I've seen some of the albums that we can get on here, and let me tell you, there are some genuine stinkers. Just some stuff that you can't really make albums out of some of these, right? Like, if we shuffle up, like, you could make something from this, but it wouldn't be very interesting, right? Like, I guess you could try to do something like, you know that picture, that famous optical illusion of two people kissing, but it also looks like a vase? You could do something like that, but at the same time, it's like nothing about this really like strikes any creativity in me. So I'm giving myself one or two mulligans, right? I'm gonna give myself like one or two. Yeah, no, this doesn't stir anything within me. Let's try another one. Like I said, you could do something. I could envision something. I don't want to do it. It's Friday. It's the end of the week. We've worked hard. Everybody's worked hard. We don't need to fucking prove ourselves to anybody. All right. Let's get this thing started then. Let's just hit this. Oh, sick. RJD2, since we last spoke. Released in 2004. Huh. If Dead Ringer established a tenuous foundation for RJD2's reputation, one based around both countless comparisons to his abstract beatmaker peers and a sense that he could go in any number of different directions afterwards, his second album took a more surprising angle. What would it sound like if you built a straight-up rock record using hip-hop methodology? Since we last spoke, didn't just stop at that question, though. With a crate digger's scene-defying range, gonna need to look some of those words up, it laid out the parameters of its rock moves to include a multitude of modern-thinking throwbacks that break the rigid formatting of 70s and 80s AOR to pieces. The ensuing music's ambiguously nostalgic for previous generation's sounds, but determined to make them intermingle in sample era ways corporate rock was usually too timid to try the first time around. Huh. On top of all that, the closer One Day is a minor miracle. A drum track that offers spiritual uplift, a piano that emphasizes a sorrow that makes people seek it out, and an impassioned vocal, sourced from who knows where, so buried in self-conscious anguish inertia that it glitches out when it's time to admit I've been a fool. That sounds like a banger! I'll have to look this one up afterwards. I've never heard of this band before, or this musician before, but I think we can do something with this. Alright, let's just grab this. And you know, obviously, hang on. Let's plonk this down here. And in the meantime, I'm also just gonna Google it, just so we can have a slightly better since we last spoke. Since we have maybe a higher resolution version of it. So let's see. All sizes, large. Yeah, it's from 2004, so it makes sense that this one's a little it's a little harder to get a high resolution image of. How about like wallpaper sized? Oh, okay. Here's one with really good definition or resolution. Okay, it reminds me a lot of like sea life and anemones. I think that's what those are called. Like those, not exactly corals. Corals are where clownfish hang out. Also, hi, bunny. But yeah, is it an anemone? Hang on. Red anemone. Okay, it turns out that anemones are flowers, but these also look really nice, actually. Let me just plonk that down in there somewhere. Anemone? Okay, hang on. Coral types. Oh, I think sea anemone. Ooh, nice. Okay, yeah. Yes. Okay, yeah, no, this is exactly what I was thinking of. Thank you, Bunny. This has a watermark on it, but that's fine. I don't need the picture itself. I just need the idea of the anemone. Okay, we got a couple of CCTV Is that a lobster? Okay, I don't know what this thing is. It looks like some kind of raccoon. It's vaguely mammalian. But okay, no, the tail isn't very raccoon though. It's some kind of sloth or some kind of simian creature. This looks like an octopus limb. CCTV cameras. You know what? You know what I've noticed recently that kind of bugs me, but I don't know if I should even be bugged by this? Cameras have become too round. I mean, like, you can see these little, like, Hikvision or whatever cameras posted up everywhere. There's fake ones, too. I know that there are fake security cameras that some people just glue to the ceiling to give the impression of surveillance. But, like, I kind of miss these ones, you know? They were very squarish, very cool looking. Living in a surveillance state used to have some sauce. Let's see. Okay. I guess we should also look up lobster, huh? Or is that maybe a crawdad? I'm wondering about the crawdad thing, because if you look at the left limb, it's a little bit unorthodox for a lobster, it feels like. I don't know, I've never seen a lobster claw that looks like that. So if I look up crawdad. I mean... Thought it was a crab? I can kind of see it, honestly. I don't know, though. I feel like I'm not sure, actually. Really loving this guy's pose, though. The fucking confidence. Get grabbed, idiot. God, it must be so weird being an animal that is carapace and, like, you're kind of tough shit, right? Like, if you have, like, an outer carapace and a shell exterior and claws, I feel like you must feel fairly invincible most of the time, and then some human just sidles up to you and he's like, oh, how cute, little crawdad, and picks you up like this. It must be a little bit demeaning, I imagine. But yeah, no, hang on. So... Gray lobster. Oh my god, this one's so pretty! Yeah, no, this is kind of what I was thinking of, though. Gray-green large lobster. Wait, these are AI generated, aren't they? Yeah, no, look, this one's limbs aren't even connected. AI images show! Get that shit out of here! Fucking show AI images. Who the fuck do you think you are? Oh, cool. I've never seen a cross-section of a lobster before. I'm learning so much today. I don't know what it is about like small lobsters and like just small crustaceans in general that just makes me lose it every single time. I don't know, like they're so small. You're so tiny. You're so cute. Why can't you always stay this size? Alright, so wait, so sea lobster. Ooh. Okay. Okay, this guy fucking means business. Marine life is so fascinating. That AI generated. So I guess maybe it's a freshwater lobster? Oh! This guy looks pretty... Oh, it's a crayfish maybe. Hang on. I feel like that's warmer. I feel like that's pretty close just because of the shape of the claw compared to the picture. Let's just grab this guy. Okay, and everybody knows what an octopus looks like. I mean, hang on. Everybody knows what an octopus looks like, but it never hurts to verify. What if I look up a giant octopus? Oh yeah. Got ourselves a seafood boil going. You know it! Octopuses look so funny. I really do think it's just where the eyes are positioned that just make them look funny no matter what. Like you cannot tell me to look this thing in the eyes and take it serious. I know it's like 5 times the size of my body, but come on. Really? This guy? Get real. Okay, we do have quite a bit to cook with, seafood puns aside. Okay, let's scale down a couple of these. And we can probably fit this one in here, so we have this right-hand side of the canvas just to ourselves. Hello, Cypress. Hello, how are you? Hang on, / shout out. Good work on the Sunset Overdrive stream today. Took me 3 tries to remember the name of the game, but I got it. I got there eventually. Yeah, we picked up a random album. We've happened upon this one called Since We Last Spoke by RJD2. And now we're drawing a character based on that. Or at least an outfit. Oh, I'm feeling more outfit than character. Yeah, no, there's a lot to unpack here. But yeah, we got some CCTV cameras. We got octopus limb ? Some manner of mammal. What I believe is perhaps a crayfish, and also I guess these look like hands a little bit. Also, whatever this meatball looking thing is. So we got a lot to work with. But yeah, I've had this idea on my mind ever since I saw that one art of Bridget. So this has been cooking for a little while. Okay. Trying to think. How do I give it? Okay, so I'm thinking of like maybe almost giving it the same kind of vibe as the painting. I don't know. It feels weird to draw character designs including a pose because I feel like when you do that, it restricts a little bit of like what the mood of the character is, and maybe it doesn't take into account just like all the different angles that could be involved. Should we make it a girl or a guy? I mean, honestly, we can just put the clothes on whatever. We can just make the clothes androgynous and then just switch it up later as needed. I've recently come to the realization that I barely draw skirts and such. I think I like pants too much. It's a strange predicament to have. I feel like I've forgotten how to draw the hip bone thingies that I always do. A good trouser? I do enjoy a good trouser, it must be said. No matter how much that makes me sound like Gromit. Or, wait, no, Wallace. Gromit is a dog, Wallace is the bumbling inventor guy who has funny trousers. Let's see. Yeah, that spell seems good. Okay, so I'm thinking the one octopus limb we see here, I think that's an octopus limb. That reads like an octopus limb to me. I don't know. There's some kind of theme going on with the album's cover. But I'm thinking for the octopus limb, it's almost like a scarf. Honestly, it wouldn't be too out of place. It gives nautical shell to me, but I don't see well. I could see it. I could see it. I honestly do see what you mean, though. Yeah, with the kind of curve up here, I could see that being a nautilus shell. Okay. Maybe almost like some kind of clasp? Maybe not. Well, even if that's not exactly what's there, it doesn't matter if we make our own interpretation of it. Things can be wrong and still look good. Let's see. Okay. I do like the idea of making the... It reminds me a little bit... Actually, you know what it reminds me of? Hang on. Have y'all ever seen... Okay, no. I'm thinking of something else, maybe. Yeah. Hang on. Have you ever seen a picture of an unpeeled lychee? So hang on. Or hang on, wild lychee. There's like... hang on. Maybe it's called like a hairy lychee? Yeah, here we go. Okay, so there's these ones are popular in China, I think. They taste really good, but it's kind of weird. If you eat too many of them in a row, your throat gets kind of hot. It's weird. You get kind of like... It's almost... I swear to God, I'm not allergic to these. if you eat a lot of them in a row, your throat gets kind of hot. Like you feel kind of drunk, like the kind of heat that you would normally get from like being drunk. Fruit that hurts you, it warms you up. It doesn't. I mean, I don't think it can hurt you. It didn't hurt me with the few times I ate it. I don't think. But yeah, it reminds me a little bit of like a wild light or like this hairy lychee. Let me actually grab this reference into the whatchamacallit's name. If anything hurts if you throw it hard enough. So true. That used to be a kindergarten joke I heard a lot. That was like, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Anything will keep the doctor away if you throw it hard enough. I remember that. I remember that one getting thrown around figuratively, not literally. Back in the playground days. Let's see. I don't know. I wonder if other fruits ward away certain professions. I know that the understanding between doctors and apples is that like apples have vitamin A or something. So eating one of those a day is going to be not vitamin A, vitamin C. I said A for apple because it's been a long day. But yeah, I do wonder if there are specific fruits that have like other career repellent properties. I mean, there are absolutely fruits that have like career attractive properties though, because like I know that if you eat raw lemons, for example, you're definitely going to be seeing a lot more of your dentist. Let's see. Okay, over here. Coconut a day attracts a sailor. Yeah. They say a sailor is very alike to a coconut. You both in both cases you have to you have to crack open the shell a little bit first before you can get at the meat. That one might have needed more time in the oven, I think. Hang on. Anyway, coconut a day. You know what? Let's abandon ship on this sailor pun, okay? Let's not think about that too much. What I'm struggling to figure out is where to... Or actually, you know what? We could probably fit the security cameras as sunglasses. Okay, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. I do also like that attract a sailor sounds like you're like baiting a trap or something. You're trying to like it's like honey for your snake or honey for your flies, so to speak. Honestly, I have had great success in the past. A lot of the times during the summer, laying a trap for the mercantile goods. Yep. That's why in the 1800s the coconut used to be known as the pirate's apple. Ironically, because pirates didn't eat enough coconuts, they didn't figure out scurvy until like way later. It occurs to me that I have no idea how to draw glasses. Or I don't know, these kind of look like very thick Coke bottle glasses a little bit. I do think I put them a little bit far apart, the lenses. Just gotta, there we go. Regrets live? No! Oh dear. Thank you, Bunny. I appreciate that. I do wonder. I'm gonna need to like fucking. Once I have been getting into the idea of like eventually making like a clip compilation, maybe for like one of the anniversaries or something. We do have that one. We do have one coming up in October. I don't know if it'll be ready by then. But it is funny to think that I'm going to be like looking through so much footage. It is a little bit fascinating watching footage of yourself, particularly when you're trying to be entertaining, because whenever I'll like be in a situation and I'll think of a joke to make in that situation, and the me from the recording will say that joke almost immediately. Sometimes it takes him a second to get there, but he usually gets pretty quick on. He's usually pretty quick on the draw. I'm actually gonna put the flower over here. I don't know if the flower's gonna throw off the nautical theming we seem to have accidentally kind of stumbled into. But Okay, we have the... Okay, hang on, wait, I have an idea. Let me use a bright blue color. So we have the security cameras, we have the octopus, we have this, and we have the light cheese. Where did I put the light cheese? Where are... Okay, they're there. Okay, and we have the light cheese. Now we need the sea anemone and the crawdad. And possibly whatever the fuck this thing is. I really don't know what animal that is. Again, some manner of mammal, perhaps a muscellid of some persuasion. No idea. Actually, maybe we could make that into like a hairpin or something. Hang on. Okay, its exact shape is like almost heart-shaped. And we can have a little bit of a tail thing coming out of there. Metazoan morphology is something that really escapes me. I feel like I'm very bad at recognizing animals. I'm also really bad at recognizing faces, so maybe that's almost a related issue. I just know they would roast my ass on that iNaturalist app. I don't even go outside the house that much, so I'd be like once a month I would post like, check out this yellow-chested wren that I found on my morning walk, and they'd be like, clearly that is an ochre-chested tit, you fucking moron. Why do you even bother coming back? No, I'm kidding. iNaturalist does seem like one of the least toxic communities out there. I don't know. Is anybody here on iNaturalist? Is there like drama? Are there like known community bad actors on iNaturalist? I don't know. I feel like people... The thing is, right? I feel like there is a correlation between going outside frequently and not being mad on the internet. So I feel like iNaturalist, just by virtue of combining those to an extent... I've not encountered a bird watcher, but I know they got eagle eyes for that sort of thing. Hey! Buena. Very nice. That was a good one. That was a really good one. I'm so proud whenever somebody else makes a pun. Okay. Then okay, we have the beast of unspecified origin. That's there now. We need the anemone next. Actually, come to think of it, could we not? Okay, so I'm thinking maybe some manner of suit and tie, or some manner of at least blazer, like some kind of business apparatus. Some kind of business clothing. That's too sharp of an incline as well. Okay, and that's gonna come down like this. And at the end of the sleeves, we're going to have the sea anemone kind of frill. I wonder what it's like to touch one of these things. It probably feels like touching a grape, right? I don't know. I feel like it'd be very squishy, not very load bearing. I'd probably have to wash my hands afterwards. No doubt about that. I don't know. I feel like we need more opportunities to touch sea life and fish and such. I feel like I get easily grossed out by things whose texture or like stuff looks slimy and I'm not aware of it. If it isn't neurotoxic, I imagine very slimy. Fully agree. I don't know. Are there neurotoxic sea anemones? Or non-neurotoxic ones? Neurotoxic sea anemone. There is literally a sea anemone neurotoxin Wikipedia page. If you can believe that shit. A name given to neurotoxins produced by sea anemones with related structure and function. Those little bastards are neurotoxic as fuck. Oh god, okay. Number of proteins. The neurotoxins bind specifically to the sodium channel, thereby delaying its inactivation during signal transduction, resulting in strong stimulation of mammalian cardiac muscle contraction. Oh cool, they give you a heart attack! This family also includes the anti-hypertensive and antiviral proteins BDS1 and BDS2 expressed by Anomia viridis. Oh, it's so pretty! And deadly. BDS1 is organized into a triple-stranded antiparallel beta sheet with an additional small antiparallel beta sheet at the end terminus. Both peptides are known to specifically block the Kv3.4 potassium channel, thus bring about a decrease in blood pressure. That doesn't sound so bad. Moreover, they inhibit the cytopathic effects of mouse hepatitis virus strain MHV-A59 on mouse liver cells by an unknown mechanism. The poison cures cancer? Wait, no. Sorry. The poison cures hepatitis. I don't know. Whenever I hear about liver cells, I immediately think of some kind of cancerous issue. That's still really weird. Why does it? Why hepatitis strain? Why that specific strain? Why on? It'd be funny as hell if there was a poison that could cure cancer. Yeah, that would be kind of badass. Imagine if we, you know how like we can use how like diabetes for a long time was made from like pig, right? Like how they had like pig, how they had like a pig that one anti-diabetic hormone. You endure like Luffy did in Impel Down. Yeah, we breed a snake in order to produce that specific poison, and then we're like, all right, listen, you can either get this in an injection, or you can be the ultimate badass, and we have old Noodle here bite you and transfer the poison that way. What's your pick? Your health insurance will cover both. It's really all up to you. Proteins are so weird looking. Cartoon representation of the molecular structure of a protein registered with one ATX code. Proteins are so weird. They're like hairballs that decide whether you live or die. This is kind of an Austin Powers-ass fit, if I'm being real. It's low-key giving Shagadelic. Alright, let's see. Putting this over here. I feel like sometime these past 3 months, I've lost my ability to draw thin like pant legs. I no longer peddle skinny jeans. Little bit. Well, why don't we full send? Let's give him the little pointy shoes. Moving into your cargo pants era. God. A little bit of a heel on the shoe, and then pointy as hell. How is a sailor like a coconut? They're like a coconut because under the hard shell, they're both full of water. Hi, Liev. Okay, hang on. Maybe we can workshop the coconut one. I feel like that one has legs, right? I do feel like the coconut sailor joke does have legs beyond the initial bit. Yeah, but Bunny owned the hell out of me like half an hour ago, 15 minutes ago. I'm more like, I think. I don't know. It might have been half an hour ago. It might have been 15 minutes. All history will remember is that I was owned at some point. How is a sailor like a coconut? Okay, sailors are a little smelly, kind of drunk. Maybe you could be like, you can find them both at the bottom of a, I don't know. What is there a specific alcoholic beverage that uses coconut juice or coconut water? Coconut water cocktail. Let's see. 10 best coconut water cocktails. Yeah, that one does look kind of nice. Honestly, with a little sprig of mint and the pineapple. Maybe a little bit of cinnamon on top. Oh, wait, I'm just thinking of horchata. Caribeño. Coconut gin and tonic. Okay. Coconut margarita. Have you ever had coconut coffee? No, that sounds delicious. Pina colada has coconut. Oh my god. Of course. What was I thinking? Pina colada isn't a very sailory drink, though, is it? Please try. It's my favorite. It's very refreshing. I'll have to keep an eye out for it. Do you remember where you got it last? And they might sell it at a coffee store or something. They both like pina coladas and dancing in the rain. That one could work. You know what? I think that one's got some merit. I'll add that to the mental pile. Okay. Crawdad. You can try coffee places. I get mine from a boba shop near me. Ooh. I'll have to look into it. Okay, the crawfish. Maybe we can keep the sea anemone like spike stuff down near the soles of the shoe, and we use the crab claws maybe on the hands or maybe on the almost like a wrist brace. And so if we go like... No, that... The silhouette on that is fucked up. I like to see an enemy thing. Maybe we can do something for the shoulder. Or maybe you can even... You know what, actually? We could print it on the pants. Yes, okay. Hang on. You can try... Yeah. God, I remember there's this one... There's this one, like, very openly advertised LGBT cafe near where I live. I go there sometimes. They have good samosas. And one time I got myself a pomegranate, I don't know if it was like a latte or something. It was some kind of coffee drink. And let me tell you, it was extremely mid. Like, I was expecting more of the pomegranate to come through, but it was not like that at all. I'm very sad to report that the pomegranate did not come through in the pomegranate coffee drink. But yeah, if they're crazy enough to put pomegranate in their coffee, then they're definitely crazy enough to try coconut. Right about now is when they would do it too. Like, it is summertime. That's kind of prime coconut flavored stuff season. Hmm. Maybe some kind of belt? Okay, yeah, okay. I do think I want to maybe curb a little bit of the octopus limb back here. Okay, if I look up lobster embroidered jeans, is it gonna give me some random bullshit or something sick? Nah, this all looks pretty mid, I fear. I mean, these aren't too bad, but it's not what I had in mind. I remember one time I saw this design of like a chicken embroidered on jean. Show us a Mr. Krabs fit. Like this. This is kind of like what I had in mind when I said like embroidered. Like huge, unmissable giant lobster on there. Or like this. This is perfect, actually. This is exactly what I had in mind. Hang on, like... So maybe chicken embroidered jeans? Or rooster, actually. Yeah, something... Not... Actually, no, not like this, but... Yo, this one's kind of sick, though. El Jefe chicken rooster patch. This will kind of go hard on anything, I think. Roosters are kind of an interesting animal. I don't know. I know that they do have association with that Buddhist principle of the three poisons. I don't remember which one they were, though. I remember the three poisons were like the snake, which is enmity, the pig, which is ignorance, I believe, and then the rooster, which I think was some kind of greed or like narcissism. Hang on, I could look. I could Google this actually. Three unwholesome roots, yada yada yada. Okay, here we go. These three states are delusion, also known as ignorance, greed or sensual attachment, and hatred or aversion. Okay, so it is greed. Okay, okay, neat. Good to know. It is really funny that, you know, given the phrase cock of the walk and like, I don't know, I feel like roosters being like very narcissistic little jerks is like a recurring motif in folklore and cultural perception. To be fair, if you saw, and I've seen roosters walking around before, and they do have like a very kind of self-assured kind of stride for a bird. Like you ever look at a bird and you're like, you know what, that bird does look a little bit arrogant. That's roosters like all the time, genuinely. That's most birds to me, huh? You know what? You're kind of right though, because a lot of birds they do have. I don't know. Maybe I think it's some kind of miscommunication because of the fact that they're bipedal. God, most arrogant beasts. Yeah, I do think there is like some body language. I am doing a little bit of humanism to the birds. I do think that maybe the reason that they seem arrogant is maybe because of like the body language of their walking just looking very arrogant. But in reality, that's just how they walk, though, right? They steal my fries. They have no respect for the dominance of humanity. They shit on everything. Really audacious beasts, come to think of it. Yeah, no, you're right. Birds honestly got what they got, whatever they have coming to them. Really, it is very unfortunate for birds that they're so delicious. Because, like, I feel like if they were just, like, ordinary pests, then, you know, the aversion to them would be more akin to, like, that of mice and such, where you don't really mind if they're out in the wild or whatever, but if they're in your home, then obviously there's a problem. I don't know. To be honest, the system we have with birds right now seems pretty solid. We get too close, they fly away. Unless they're like a tamed parrot or something, but even those guys can be pretty moody from what I understand. Okay, 1, 2, 3 on each side. God, worst nightmare for me is inheriting a bird at any point. I'm not responsible enough, or really, I'm both too much of a stay-at-home guy and too little of a stay-at-home guy to be responsible for a pet. Like I go out often enough that I wouldn't be able, or and I leave like I go on like plane rides and shit often enough that I wouldn't be able to reliably keep a pet unless I was willing to shell out a lot of money for pet hotels. I'm just not very good at handling animals, it feels like. I don't think animals hate me, but I wouldn't be very good at being responsible for them. That's why my worst nightmare is to have is to like somehow end up with a bird. Because I feel like those little bastards have such high demands of caretaking and such. Your long lost great aunt about to die. Pabs, inherit my emu. Fuck no, auntie. Barajate, tia. I mean, God, that would be really problematic because she's probably in Ecuador, and I'd have to like fucking go all the way back there first of all to get the emu, or at least turn it into emu fries or something. I don't know. Emu meat doesn't feel like it'd be very good for you, or particularly tasty. Feels like it'd be very gamey. I don't know. Emu meat could be delicious. No, it couldn't be that good though. I feel like if emu meat was better, the Australians wouldn't have lost that war. Like I do think that if emu meat was tastier, the emu wars would have been like a low diff at most. Because picture this, right? The emu war happened like a little bit after, like before World War One, didn't it? When did that? 1932. Okay, yeah, no, a little bit after World War One, but notably before World War Two, I think. Fuck, I forgot when World War Two started. Hang on. No, 1939 is when World War Two started. So yeah, in the yeah, 1939. Yeah, interim period between. Okay, wait, no. When did World War One end? 1918. Okay, no. So I was spot on. In the interim period between World War One and World War Two, the Australians had a little bit of an emu problem. And again, imagine this, right? It's right after World War One. The economy is still recovering. It's a little bit difficult to put food on the table, and all of a sudden, you as a guy in the Australian army get orders from your higher ups. We got a little bit of an emu problem, boys. Who wants to bring out the Barbie? Who's hungry? It's a problem that would solve itself. I do hope that if I ever do have to fight in like some kind of conflict of any persuasion, I do hope it is one where like we're fighting like aliens that happen to be delicious. Like I feel like obviously the guilt would still weigh heavily on my conscience, but I feel like it would be a little bit less bad if I also got a good meal out of it at the end of the day. I mean, yes, moral and ethical implications of like eating sentient life, right? But at the same time, imagine if you're fighting like giant bugs like in fucking Starship Troopers. And like one of the provisions that you had in like your battle pack was like a solid stick of butter and like a large steaming action rifle. And you're I mean, well no, actually hang on. Okay, if they're like shrimp aliens, I would be in trouble because I don't digest shrimp very well, but if it was like lobster aliens, I could definitely I'd put some numbers on the board for sure. Okay. Got the lychees, we got the giant lobster print pants, we have the flour, which I kind of just brought in on a whim. I think we're good. I think the face is a little boring. What can we do to make the face less boring? I like the idea of having a nose like this, but I don't know about the rest of the face. Maybe just having a really long face? No. Hang on, wait, we have a scarf. Let's just... What am I thinking? We literally have like an octopus scarf. But then the topology of this would be a little... No, wait, hang on. We could handle that, actually. Hang on. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Okay, is it worse or better if the little suckers on the octopus scarf are facing in or out? I do think the only comfortable way to wear this thing would be to have the suckers out. Because like imagine if like you God, you rush out of the house one morning, you put on your octopus tentacle scarf, but you put it on the wrong way, and for the rest of the day you have to like wear a mask or something. In addition to just like going around your business, because of the fact that it looks like you got attacked by suction cup gnomes the night before. I very recently realized that I've become desensitized to what suction cup therapy looks like. Because I remember seeing a post that was like, no, I remember seeing like a cartoon or something that was like, suction cup therapy, do not look that up. And I'm like, what? Wait, what's wrong with suction cup therapy? And like, okay, suction cup gnomes, listen. No, I knew what suction cup therapy was before the guy said don't look it up. It's well, okay, I wouldn't call it harmless necessarily. If you haven't seen it before, do brace yourself before you Google that. I recently I realized that I became desensitized to it. I don't know why. I don't know. I think I always just thought it looked kind of cool. So if you've never seen suction cup therapy before, I'm gonna draw a very abstract thing of it. Okay, so imagine that's a dog shit shoulder. Hang on. Okay. So imagine this is somebody lying on their stomach, right? So suction cup therapy is, oh yeah, I've seen that before, but I've never heard of what it actually was. Yeah, it just leaves behind red pock marks. That's all. They have like these little specialty cups. They can be made out of glass or some kind of synthetic material. A lot of the times they hold a flame under the glass to kill the oxygen inside. And then they just stick them on you. And they leave behind these like red spots on your back. They don't feel sore. They don't hurt necessarily. They do stay on there for a while. I don't remember it hurting very much. I had it done to me once before. I got a massage when I was getting my passport renewed. Because it was a very stressful experience and Ottawa fucking sucked. There's just nothing to do in Ottawa. Don't go to Ottawa if you visit a Canadian city unless it's like specifically for diplomatic purposes like mine was. There's just nothing there. Even the big spider wasn't really worth the trip. But that aside, I got myself that massage in Ottawa. And it was, it was nice. I like the actual massage part of it better than the suction cup part of it. But yeah, it's not particularly painful. Well, it can be painful, actually. I don't remember it being super painful when I did it. I think it definitely does feel a little tingly. Did not know Ottawa had a giant spider. Oh, you never heard of Mamong? Hang on. You've never heard of the giant 5-meter tall metal spider statue that they have outside the Museum of Art in Ottawa? Okay, very quickly, switch to another tab if you get queasy by spiders. I'm going to show a picture of it in 3 seconds, all right? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. This is Mamong, the $3.2 million spider statue in Ottawa's downtown. It is a tremendous creature. Very big. Not that exciting. I don't know. The Mamong was kind of mid. It has a fascinating story due to the artist behind it and the implications of it being called Mamong, because it has a spider egg sac. You can switch back to this tab. The spider's gone, by the way, if you have arachnophobia. But yeah, kind of mid, if I'm being honest. My mom wasn't that much to look at. Like, I walked a long time to get there. I was like, oh my god, it's incredible! For like 3 seconds, and took a picture, and then I left. I don't know. Though the novelty of it all wears off really quickly. But yeah, not a whole lot to do in Ottawa. Kind of a crappy city. Not even fun to go to in during the nice weather season. I can't imagine there's a lot much more for you during the winter months. Should have made it move like the Tokyo Bay Gundam. I think that would have scared the shit out of some people, so I approve of that idea. Have you ever seen those, like, pictures of people get at Disneyland or something, where they're, like, taking pictures next to a mascot character, and they think the mascot character suit is, like, a statue or something, and then the mascot character suddenly, like, lunges at them to scare them? They should do that with a giant spider statue. It'll definitely traumatize more than a few people, but I think it should be done. The town could use some excitement, if I'm being quite honest. They should make Maman into a raid boss. I don't know. I think among... Maman would definitely not... Okay, so... Let's say we have some kind of alien invasion of some persuasion, right? And the statues come to life and try to kill us. Maman is definitely up there in terms of the statues that you wouldn't want to end up fighting. Definitely not the worst ones. The worst one is by far the Colossus of Rhodes if it wanted to kill you. I don't know. The idea of... Even before I saw that boss in God of War... I've never played God of War, but I've seen a compilation of the different bosses. Even before I saw that the Colossus of Rhodes wanted to beat your ass in one of the God of War games, I knew that that thing was not to be fucked with at all. Colossus and Rio Jesus. It would be pretty bad to have to fight the Rio de Janeiro Jesus statue. I shan't lie. Due to my own upbringing, I feel at the very least very morally conflicted with what to do in that situation. On the other hand, it was Lin Yixuan who said that if you should meet the Buddha, you should kill the Buddha. That's a very extremist Buddhist tenet, but at the same time, it could be applied in some regards to Christianity. You know, there's like 5 different stories in the Bible about people doubting who Jesus was. I'm sure he wouldn't begrudge one more incident. It would still feel really weird to fight the Rio de Janeiro Jesus. Shagadelic, baby, yeah. God, okay. I like how gross the sea anemone came out. I don't know, I'm very proud of it. It looks very anemone-ish, much more so than the one that I had before in the sketch. Okay. Still remembering that one snippet that somebody posted on Tumblr from the novelization of Austin Powers, where it was like, yeah, baby, said nobody because the situation wasn't very good. That shit read like a Homestuck line. There's been a recent hubbub about Homestuck. I've personally washed my hands for any kind of anticipation of its future projects ever since the epilogue, so I'm immune to everything. But I do think that it must be discussed at that one panel where like John is in the bathtub and texting Rose. Rose, you can see me, right? Can you tell me what's wrong with this picture? It's like top 3 comedy moments to me. It's just such a vivid picture. I think the sprites really do a lot of the work there. I don't know. I think the reason that Homestuck's comedy is very deadpan is because the characters use sprites. It must be said it was funny at times. Despite everything, Homestuck is a very funny comic. I feel like being on Tumblr for more than 5 years and reading Homestuck gives you like the equivalent of like a yellow belt in posting. Not a black belt. You don't get that without rigorous training, but definitely like a yellow belt. Okay, then over here. I can't believe I have to draw 3 more of these. This is taking forever. Oh well. I dug this into enemy, now I have to render it. Okay. Then... yeah, alright. I can't do an Austin Powers impression. I don't know how to. I don't think I ever could. I don't think I've lost the technology necessarily. But I just... It's been so long since I've seen Austin Powers, and I feel like I don't have the sheer gusto and zest for life that's needed to pull it off successfully. I've been working in an office job for too long to get shagadelic with it. God. I will say that this was somewhat influenced. The idea for this stream and the outfit in particular were loosely influenced by the fact that I went to a fashion show yesterday because my friend invited me to it. Like, hey, there's this free event that's happening. I'm gonna be there to support some of my friends. You want to come with? And I was like, yeah, that sounds like fun. I'll do that. Which is why I had to cancel stream yesterday. And the reason that I had to cancel it in the first place is because I forgot I made that promise on like last Friday, and I made the stream schedule as normal, and then I remembered that I had that appointment, so I had to be like, "Fuck!" I gotta reschedule real quick. It all worked out though. That being said, a very inconvenient part of the night, I ended up having to run back home to get my passport because they needed photo ID and my driver's license was expired. And also I didn't have my driver's license on me. And I don't know where it is at the moment. Again, it is expired, so it's not a valid form of ID right now. But I feel like they would have let that slide. I don't know. Do they like just renew the learner's permit, or do I have to take the test again? I'm gonna have to make an inquiry over the phone at some point. I hope I don't have to take the driver's ed test again. I literally just took a test 2 months ago, and I'm still kind of feeling the results from that one. But yeah, it is very strange though. Like the fashion show wasn't even in like 18 plus or anything. I guess it did take place at a bar, which is maybe why they needed an ID. But at the same time, it's like, really though, to a fashion show? I renewed my license once in 2016. It was so long ago. All I remember is the waiting. It's such just the way of the DMV. I honestly really like... Okay, so... Quick disclaimer. This only applies if I've either called out of work or I don't have work that day. I kind of love waiting in lines. I don't know. There was this period in my life where I traveled for like 3 hours regularly during a week, during like twice a weekend, right? And I just had a great time just like killing time on that bus, just like traveling around. I just had so much fun waiting in line. I'm just like sitting down there. I'm playing on my little DS. I'm like minding my own business. Shit is awesome. They pull up my number in like 2.5 hours. I don't know. There's something about it that's very liberating to me. Like if I know that I'm supposed to be somewhere, obviously if I'm in a hurry, I don't like waiting in line, but if I don't have anywhere to be and my whole responsibility that day just revolves around waiting in a line, I can get with it. I can stand behind that. Literally if I'm in a queue. It is a bit of a shame. It is a bit of a shame that Ecuador doesn't really have any ties to the EU. Back in the day, you could if you could prove you could wait in line for 5 hours without getting tired or bored, you were like granted automatic British citizenship. If there's one stereotype I know about the British, it's that they love waiting in lines. I'm not sure where that stereotype came from. Maybe there's just like a lot of places where you have to wait in line in Britain. Okay, then another big thing here, and that's going to end like this. Okay. God. A bizarre thing happened where I sent a package to somebody in the US, and okay, I sent a package to somebody in the US not too long ago, which was a lot of fun. I love going to the post office. But today I got a call from the post office saying that they had held up my package in like the whatchamacallit, like in some kind of like control area, and they needed me to tell them where I had gotten some of the stuff in the package. So I got to explain to the the postal clerk, not mail clerk, the postal clerk, that I had gotten like these toffees from like a souvenir store, and I had also gotten My Little Pony cup from a random Asian supermarket near my house. They were literally they opened up my mail. They had to detain Twilight Sparkle. It's so absurd. God. They're not supposed to do that? I mean, I think the reason they were asking me is because they didn't know they weren't supposed to do it, and okay. So as part of the shipment, I was required to write down what was in the package, and I did say like, oh, I'm shipping over a cup and some toffees. And I think that's when they were like, which toffees? Where from? What cup? Twilight Sparkle detained for holding toffees and treats. This could have straight up been an episode in My Little Pony where they have to go through PS T. Okay, wait. What does TSA stands for again? Whatever. They go to like Pony TSA and like they hold up Twilight Sparkle because like she has like too many books in her luggage. And at the end of the episode that she writes, "Dear Princess Celestia, all cops are bastards. You're a faithful student, Twilight Sparkle." God. Okay, and then over here, perfect. Hang on, actually, let me pull up the email, like the exact email that I got that asked me for that. Hang on. You shipped a parcel from our store on this day, and unfortunately it is stuck being cleared by something or other in the US. They are requesting more information about the cup and maple toffee. Are you able to tell me where you bought them, and maybe a description for the cup? You asked! You asked! God. It's been a funny couple days. I do feel like ever since I've gotten out of like my academic obligations for the time being, I've been back on my side quest character bullshit. I feel like I used to get into way more of these situations before I had to lock in on my academics for a little bit. The universe saw that my burden had been lifted and was like, alright, time to fuck with this guy again. I do appreciate it though. Like none of the side quest shit that happens to me is ever bad. It's just weird. And a little bit inconvenient sometimes at worst. I appreciate that. There are people who have side quest shit that happens to them and it's like they're SpongeBob in Silent Hill all of a sudden. I have never needed to worry about that. Okay, no, I think I've needed to worry about that at least a couple of times. But generally, I've never needed to worry about that. I am glad that we've moved a little bit away from that like whole mockery of like just like video game thing that we used to see a lot. I feel like that meme of like thing Japan has sort of supplanted that thing of like just like video game in the kind of cultural zeitgeist as a put down. To be fair, there are a lot of people who cannot be normal about Japan. And so it is applicable in a lot more situations nowadays. But I will say that there are some just like video game ass situations out there in the world. Okay. I do feel very proud of myself for the moves I've been making this week. There are some Yakuza sub-story situations. 100% agreed. I remember one summertime, it was very strange. One summertime before I left for university, I was wandering around the city as I am wont to do. And I remember seeing a bunch of people at like a massage parlor. I don't remember, I don't know exactly what the business was. It looked a lot like a massage parlor. But they were basically having some trouble hauling up what looked to be like a giant water boiler up to the second floor of the building. I was like, "Oh, hey, do you need some help?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure. Actually, we could use some help." I helped them get the water boiler up to the second floor. And when I left, they gave me some coupons for a massage. That was like the most Yakuza sub-story ass situation I've ever been in my whole life. Random reward, yeah. This is why we need walkable cities. I do feel like you need to be in at least like a couple of Yakuza sub-story situations annually just so that you have a more fulfilled life. The thing that they don't tell you about being in a Yakuza sub-story situation is that very often it involves you helping out your community. Either in abstract or very direct ways. You need walkable cities in order to have Yakuza sub-story events and to foster a strong community. Okay, then over here. You want walkable cities because of the ease of transportation and capability to establish a community presence in them. I want walkable cities because I want to live in Kamurocho. We are not the same. God. It is killing me the idea of this one local political activist who has very progressive and community-focused initiatives, but almost all of them are just because he wants to be like Kazuma Kiryu. I think that would be like the ultimate guy in 2025. I don't know. I feel say what you will about their motivations, but I feel like somebody like that would at least be like a noble soul to talk to. I don't know. Kazuma Kiryu is a very positive role model in a lot of respects. Not in every respect, but in a lot of them. He helps the community. He looks out for people who need help. He has heat actions. You can do a lot worse for role models than Kazuma Kiryu. Kind of shuddering at the thought really quickly of somebody having Goro Majima as their role model. Like, I'll admit he's got his graces, but I don't think you should be following that guy for life advice. God, what was I thinking drawing all of these suckers on the scarf? I was probably thinking that it looked sick as hell, which it does. But yeah, you would definitely need some way to simplify these if you were to make this a regular design. At least they're all the same. That's the one thing about me, is that I'm always thinking there are some designs out there that are incredibly difficult to draw but are very understated. Like, for example, that one casual fit that Ninamai Inanes has, that is her in what's basically like an oversized hoodie and a t-shirt. The t-shirt isn't so bad, but the hoodie has those decals on it, those little patches that make it so much more time-consuming to draw if you're going for like complete accuracy. You could just make a brush from the official reference sheet and that should be fine, but at the same time, it's like sometimes you have to like weigh the risk and reward, or like the effort and reward. That's something I was reading about earlier today, actually. There's this concept in programming called structural debt or something like that. The idea is, when you make a program, right, it tends to have bugs in it. Not always a lot of them, but it does have some. And usually by the time you've like shipped out the program or started using it internally, those bugs either you know more or less how to work around them, or you can kind of finagle a solution pretty easily. No problem. But what happens if you want to scale up the program? Well, then you kind of run into the bugs more frequently, or the solutions that you've developed up to that point start breaking, or they don't work at that scale, etc., etc. And so you have to spend more time not only developing the expansion that they wanted, but also on fixing the issues with the bugs that you could have just fixed in the first place. That's the idea of like technical debt. And oh, hey, Johnny. And the thing for me is, right, you almost see it as like a cost benefit analysis in a lot of ways. Obviously, there are some situations where it should be your responsibility to fix that as soon as possible. Like if it's just like something that's like horribly breaking all the time, you should probably find a way to patch that sooner or later. But on the other hand, if there are no plans to scale it up, if there are no schemes in place to expand it or change it, if it's just like a one-time thing, if you found a workaround, you're good. There's no There's no need to overcomplicate things. And I don't know, it's a concept that I struggled with, I think, until like I read that Wikipedia article on it today. Like in a lot of cases, I think I think too much about the technical debt of something if I were to expand it or recommend it to others, instead of remembering, yeah, no, wait, I can just do something that'll work for me for like now, and that'll be fine. If people express an interest in being able to do it, then I can develop that. But if it's just me, and if it's just like the specific circumstances that I'm working with, I mean, what is there to fear precisely? I'm mostly saying this because I had the idea a while back of trying to redo something similar to the auction stream from last year, which was a lot of fun, but it wasn't exactly foolproof. So for a long time I was thinking, oh, what can I do to improve it? What can I do to, safeguard it against bad actors? And I had a few ideas, but then I realized, I'm probably nobody's really like clamoring for this technology or anything. There's no need for me to go out of my way to create a solution to a problem that's not even really a problem. So I don't know. It's useful to think about that in some ways. For me, it's definitely better than... There's this phrase that's very popular that I think was coined by Mark Zuckerberg, that done is better than perfect. I am fucking up this tentacle thing. But yeah, done is better than perfect. And the first time I heard that one, it was very eye-opening, but at the same time, I didn't feel like I gained anything from it. But this idea of like technical debt and the fact that it's always not really necessary to address it, given the specific context in which it is used, very liberating. The reason that I think it's important to remember phrases like that is that even if they may not have had any value for you, they might still be the exact thing that somebody else needs to hear. There's that concept of the lucky 10,000, right? The 10,000 people the 10,000 people who on average learn something new that they hadn't about the world before. And taking those odds, I think it's good to just have a couple of those phrases on hand. Technical debt is more of a 10 years later problem. Yeah. No, like I said, for a lot of especially for the scale that I work at in terms of my projects, it's not really a relevant issue. Having your stuff done is better than having it perfect, but if you take too many shortcuts, it'll bite you. Yeah, that whole tyranny of small decisions and whatnot. Yeah, this isn't to say that shortcuts should be taken at every opportunity, but it's important to distinguish when a shortcut is taken for the sake of cost cutting and taken for the sake of, well, we don't really need it. Which I think is the value that I gained from it. But yeah, no. Coding is so fascinating. As a cultural field. I have no interest in learning to code myself, but it does seem fascinating from like a cultural field. I was reading about open source programs. And they call the people who own and operate the open source software are benevolent lifetime overlords or something like that. Or benevolent dictators for life, I think is the exact phrase. Yeah, benevolent dictator for life. A title given to a small number of open source software development leaders, typically project founders who retain the final say in disputes or argument within the community. The phrase originated in 1995 with reference to Guido van Rossum, creator of the Python programming language. God. That really is basically anything nowadays, though. Like, if you think about it, VTuber, being a VTuber, being the channel person is basically being a benevolent dictator for life. Or, you know, for as long as you have rights to the channel. Which is generally for life. If you're an indie. If you're a corporate, not so much, but at the same time, you know. I will say that a fascinating trend in reincarnations, and I'm going to touch on this only lightly since I know it is something that is generally not supposed to be discussed openly. It is so funny that whenever people who reincarnate as independent streamers take like 80% of what of their shit from like their corporate days. I don't know, it fucking rules. Big fan of whenever that happens. It's like, I built this brand, I take it, I'm getting it into the divorce. I saw some nutty ass statistics about people who do clipping for a living. I don't know. I try to be not easily seduced by figures of money that are brought up in newspaper articles or online articles, mostly because I understand fundamentally those are definitely outliers and that could change at any moment. But still, they were saying that this one specific clipper that was working professionally, not for VTubing or anything, but for just working as a general clipper who is building a narrative into a short form video, they were making $20,000 to $30,000 a month. And you know, like I said, I try to not let money seduce me since I feel like that leads me to making poor decisions. But that is a lot of money. God. Whenever I think of like how much money clippers make, I also remember that one fucking... I don't even remember the name of the podcast that this is from, but I very distinctly remember this one podcast where this dude was saying that he splits his days into 3 days. Kind of figures that you get... that you... kind of figures when you get that Googling video editing for dummies. Yeah. No, definitely. I have heard good things about the DaVinci Resolve. I've been thinking about moving away from Vegas potentially. I got which version is this? Vegas Pro 16. I got that off of a Humble Bundle like a few years back. But I've been hearing good stuff about DaVinci Resolve and everything. I don't know. For the time being, it works, and I'm used to it, so I don't really see a need for doing that. But maybe once I work on that alleged clip compilation that I really shouldn't talk about too much because I feel like otherwise I'll end up building too much pressure and hype for it before actually having a finished product. But yeah, I don't know. It is, as somebody who works in crafting stuff, right? As a craftsperson, there are few pleasures greater than having tools appropriate for the job. I do think that now I'm officially like a yellow belt video editor. I think like I've done enough shenanigans to learn to at least say that I know a thing or two about video editing, but that's about it. It's not something that I'm particularly looking to get into, but at the same time, because I have a nasty tendency to DIY fucking everything, it might not be a bad idea to kind of raise my skill level in that regard. The thing is, right, my workplace has... I don't know what they have, right? And I'm actually thinking about asking, like, one of the senior managers at my place about, like, about the kind of logistics of this. So my workplace has access to a very wide variety of online courses through this service that they have, right? Because they're trying to upskill their employees. They're trying to make sure that you have even if you are not directly looking at how to do your job better, you are still learning something. You are still gaining a soft skill of some sort. But it would still feel very strange to get like a video editing course going when my day-to-day responsibilities are completely unrelated to that. So I'd like to I'm gonna like look into the exact functions of the system that we have in place, because I don't want to accidentally have to explain to my boss why the company suddenly got a charge for me trying to take a 3-hour video editing course on Udemy. When, that's not part of my job description whatsoever. I had this exact same issue when I was trying to look into business card stuff. I saw a couple of courses that seemed like they might be good fits for the things that I wanted to learn. But, I was like, wait a minute. If I learn this, is it going to get reported? Or like, are they going to get charged or something? Like, what's going to happen? So yeah, I guess that's the next step. I gotta get those fucking business cards that I've been talking about printed at some point. Or, designed even, first. First I have to design the actual business card, then I have to get it printed. Let's see. I do think mostly reds is gonna be the vibe for this one. Definitely a little darker than that. Just gonna get this bright red from the sea anemone. I think it's a good fit. But yeah, I'm not particularly... I mentioned it before. I try not to get swayed easily by money, but I also try not to get swayed particularly by the place where I got the specific sort of news from. Because a while back they were also talking about like a huge market for professional dog walkers, and it seems like that market has since collapsed. So strike while the iron is hot, but at the same time, if you somehow were on the wrong side of history of dog walking, I feel like that also discredits you pretty harshly in my eyes. It is kind of weird to think about it. Like, how does that even happen precisely? Like, did all the dogs just vanish one day? Did they just leave? Yeah, no, thanks to ChatGPT, my dogs have started learning to walk themselves. It's been a very efficient cycle. God. Okay, let's see. 60-30-10 rule dictates that I'm going to need at least one more color, and I'm going to need to use this bright red in at least a few other places. So one of them is going to be on the flower. I think that's a good one. I do think like maybe a pale, not pink, but kind of creamy orange for the octopus limb. Yeah, okay. We might actually switch the white to be the 30%. Well, there's also the 60-30-10 rule. So we just need a proper 10. I don't know. It's a little bit difficult to sometimes juggle like the 60-30 whatever rule with like having a diverse what do you call palette. Like it's very much not suited for that sort of thing. But we make do. Additionally, some of the colors are similar enough that it's not going to really cause a problem if they're lumped in together. Like this red for the shoes and the dark red of the pants and the jacket, presumably. Those are similar enough that I don't think there's going to be a problem if I just go for that. Okay. The creature. Maybe if I use a slightly light gray here. Whoa, who's this? It's supposed to be. It's a character we designed right now based on this album cover. Hi, Grand Blast. How you doing? So yeah, RJD2. Since we last spoke, the idea was to turn the album cover here into a person. They don't have a name yet. I don't think they really even strictly have a gender, so to speak. Okay, we can kind of work with that, actually. Hang on. But yeah, how you been? Okay. Right here, and then we can use the sunglasses like this. Doing good, and you? Doing pretty good. I think the contrast might be too high. Hang on. Tonal correction. Maybe lowering the contrast a little bit. Yeah, okay. That was definitely it. Maybe just increasing the saturation just a little bit. And maybe just a little bit like this. Yeah, okay. Let's put these over here. But yeah, I've been having a lot of thoughts about character design recently, which is why I was talking about the 60-30-10 rule. Or the 70-20-10 rule, if you prefer that. The thing is that all the articles that I Google about like the 60-30-10, 60-20-10 rule and the 60-30-10 rule are all about interior decoration. But surprisingly, some of the principles still carry over. It's quite bizarre. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of the little bits here. I'm actually gonna go for this thing. Oh yeah, that looks cool. Okay, and then we can also just do a little bit of shading. Just like darkening this arm, for example, so that it's a little bit easier to distinguish the silhouette. Okay, and then that's... No, wait, that shadow looks strange. Let's do this one here. Is that like a tentacle scarf? That's right! Correctissimo. Actually, thank you for reminding me about the tentacles. I need to... This is related to the tentacles, but I do need to change the color on the lines of the lobster on the pants. Asombroso. Thank you. Gracias. Okay. Just kind of making sure we're not getting anything where it's not supposed to be. Perfect. For some reason, it reminds me a lot of K-Dash from King of Fighters. Hang on. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of K-Dash. It is kind of giving K-Dash. A little bit. I think it's the sunglasses and the hair, mostly. But yeah, the biker gear looks much different compared to the suit and jacket. Yeah, I see it. Actually, this whole second half of the scarf should probably be shaded. We can do something different for the first half. Okay, and then like that. Okay. And then we can just do a little bit of something here. And here. Okay, is there anything else we need to be aware of or shade? We could probably add a little bit of highlight to the hair. And the other direction. And we could actually add a little bit of that shading right here to the underside of the glasses. Alright, sick. Okay, I have to do a quick background for this guy before we head out. Or girl. It's really funny. I gave them a very feminine build at first, and then like very slowly they just... I think the octopus scarf and the suit blazer really androgenized them. Well, that happens sometimes. Okay, and then... A for this arm, too. Nice. All right. Hmm. Actually, there's a little bit of purple here. Maybe we can just do a very subtle, like... I don't know how to do subtle with the purple reddish part. Maybe like this. That looks good. Oh yeah, that definitely adds a lot of extra flair. Right, I was thinking about backgrounds. How about the what? Okay, we're gonna... Hang on, Wikimedia Commons. Let's see if they have sea anemone pictures on Wikimedia Commons. We might be able to clutch something insane. Okay, looking good, looking good. Now, sort by, not relevance, community assessments, quality image, nope. License! No restrictions. Oh, baby. Tell me more about this one. Okay, yada yada yada. This is a featured picture in Wikimedia Commons, and it's considered one of the finest images. I like what I'm hearing. This was selected as Picture of the Day on Wikimedia Commons for November 4th, 2010. Various examples of sea anemones. A retouched pictures which has been digitally altered from its original version. Okay. It's considered the most valued image on Commons within the scope Actiniaria. You can see its nomination here. Holy shit. This image has so many qualifications. I feel kind of nervous using it now. It's like I'm working with a celebrity. Oh, this is kind of cute. Adrian Conan's this book. Oh, that's so weird looking too, though. Alright, let's just grab this one real quick. Various examples of sea anemones. 1893 print. Okay. Okay, size preview, other resolutions, yada yada yada. 3000 by 1924 pixels. That sounds my speed. Let's grab that one. Oh, yeah. This will do quite nicely. Okay, so here's the plan. Here's the skinny. So we're gonna put all these in one big folder, right? Only the finest images here, that's right. Okay. So we're going to use a little bit of extract line. Mess around with the edge threshold a little bit. Nice, okay. Okay, then we're going to use high frequency, no, maybe lower frequency than that. Then we're going to manipulate this so that it is slightly lighter in color. Okay, actually, what we need to do first is copy this. Then we apply all that other crap. Then we put the other one on top. And then what we do is we are going to use a gradient map. I think I remember seeing a really good one that kind of fits the character vibe. It does fit, but it's a little bit difficult to make out the character from this one. What about a more greenish one? Or like a bluish one? Ooh, I'm kind of liking this one, honestly. Yeah, something nice and bright. Hmm. I don't know if that's... Hmm. Okay, let's... Hang on, I have an idea. Rasterize this. Convert brightness to opacity. Okay, nice. Clip this. Okay. Merge those together. First of all, change the background to white. And then right here, we are going to offset it slightly. Oh, that looks a little... That looks kind of trippy, but not in a good way. But we are going to adjust the hue a little bit. You know what? That works. I'll take that gladly. We should probably crop this part here just so that we can see the references used. Hang on, maybe if we just kind of move this one. Yeah, something like that should work. It creates this nice kind of risograph effect. Ooh, this one looks even better, though. Okay, let's go with that. Okay, so RJD2... What's the name of the album again? Since We Last Spoke. Okay, that's looking good. Yeah, I think that's gonna be it for today. I don't know if anybody's streaming today. Friday isn't a very popular day for streaming, it feels like. Everybody's busy out at the club or something. Oh wait, no, actually my buddy Zed is streaming Blueprints, so let's go say hi to Zed. They've been live for like an hour and a half. They should still have a little bit of time left. Alright, in the meantime, I'll see you all tomorrow for some Hollow Knight. Take care, and have a great rest of your weekends. Talk to you later. Bye.